Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right. It looks like we have who we need on council. Laura, staff, we good on that end?
Yes, we have everybody.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm using a loaner laptop. Mine is being worked on, so everything's not in the place that I normally have it. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Approval of the May 2022 meetings. Are there any changes? Councilmember Medina, Councilmember Coombs.
None for me.
None from me.
All righty, same here. So we will go ahead and approve those. Let's jump into it with the CLG grant acceptance resolution.
Okay, I was saying so my presentation. So my name is Chris Geddes. I'm the Historic Preservation Specialist here at the city. And I am presenting to you today for, I was informed when I was trying to obtain signatures for this grant award that I needed a resolution. So it needs to go through PR plus study session and then full council. So I am doing that in order to be able to accept this money. Aurora is a CLG. They became one back in 1986 when the program initially started up in Colorado. And basically what it is it's an agreement where the city has said that they will pay attention to their historic resources. And there are just some, general guidelines that need to be followed, like, having legislation or an ordinance related to designation and protection for historic properties, having people that are qualified as well as citizens on the Historic Preservation Commission, identifying historic properties, and that means doing survey of historic resources, and that's what this grant ties into, and then allowing the public to participate in the program. And it is a program that is run by the National Park Service, but administered by the State Historic Preservation Office here in the state. So basically, in order to sign the contract and say, yes, give us the $25,000, I need to come to you to get those, the approvals, so that I can now start this project in August. Congress was delayed in approving money to go to the Department of the Interior, which would then funnel down to us. So I'm already 4 months behind on getting this project started, and this is pushing me back a little bit further, but we still should have enough time to complete this project, which will include doing a wind chill survey of the entire city, lots of public outreach to include our cultural communities and our ethnic groups spread out, because their story is a very important part of Aurora's history. This survey plan will help us figure out where we need to survey when we're ready to apply for more grants to make that happen and find out which buildings are historic and worthy of preservation. It also helps us to be more proactive rather than, oh, this building's going to be torn down, throw myself in front of the bulldozer kind of a situation. So that helps us prioritize what we need and to make sure that we're paying attention to those resources. Out of the over 20 grants that History Colorado and the CLG program, the requests they received, only 6 grants were awarded this year, and we were one of the 6, which is really awesome. They were a little leery of us applying to update the survey plan. They paid for one back in 2015, but we really just didn't have anything addressing the cultural diversity of the community and how to prioritize doing our survey. And so I think it's really speaks to how important this is that they agreed to fund it again and give us an update. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions that you all may have, but asking, to move this along to study session. Thank you.
Any questions?
None for me.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes. So I guess my question is just around with the sites we already have identified, as well as sites that we may identify through this process. Are there kind of expectations or requirements that we strengthen any of our kind of preservation ordinances or efforts? Right now, we've had sites that certainly were historic in nature that I assume were identified on the previous survey that have been torn down for redevelopment. And as well, we have had kind of a sentiment of not supporting preservation of a lot of buildings that people think just, are not kind of this idea that most of our city is not old enough to merit preservation. And so I'm just wondering like how we navigate that sentiment, but also how, like, what is the state expecting from us, I guess, as we undertake this process?
Well, we are already in the process of updating our ordinance. There's a lot of stuff that is in it that is outdated. It's somewhat unrelated to the survey plan, but it will kind of dovetail nicely with it. So like we are one of now 2 cities in the state that have National Register designation tied to local landmark designation. So if somebody goes for local or for National Register designation, then they automatically get added to the local landmark list. And the state has been asking us to get rid of that for decades now. And we are going to make that happen this year when we revise the ordinance. I know planning has inquired about having a demolition, strengthening the demolition component of the ordinance. I think that's going to be a little bit more involved and a little more heated, I think. But it is something that is definitely on my radar. This grant will be, from the state. They are expecting us to, to do the windshield survey, to have certain amount of public outreach. And I think that's also where we can educate folks about those resources that maybe people, how could they be historic? I remember when that was built, kind of situation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just again, in relation to that ordinance update, like other than the removal of the requirement for local designation for the national designation, are there any other kind of changes to the ordinance itself
Yeah.
and the demolition requirements that the state's expecting, or is that more just internally things staff are trying to pursue?
It's not required. The state is not requiring us to update the ordinance, except that when we had our CLG review 4 years ago, there were 2 things that they suggested we do. One was remove the National Register local landmark connection. And then the second thing that they asked was that we turned the state tax credit review back over to them. That was approved at the last city council meeting, or not this week, but 2 weeks ago. So we've taken care of that request by them. And then we'll be taking care of the National Register. We do have other things in the ordinance that we are looking to tweak and update. Some of them deal with term limits on the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm trying to think what else. I haven't seen the draft yet. We're supposed to be meeting in July to go over it. We don't have something in place for historic district designation. So if we wanted to do, like, say, Galena Street, where we have so many historic resources on the, the blocks there, is, having a percentage of owner consent. We don't have that spelled out anywhere. So we want to make sure that we address that in the update. I think there's some other things as far as like professional, commission members versus citizen members, that kind of thing. So some of it is just small things, but those are kind of the big ones on the ordinance update.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That I saw some other virtual hands come up, but maybe those questions have been addressed.
I think the mayor has his hand up.
Councilmember, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see you, Mayor. Go for it.
Thank you. Chris, is one of the, I think you talked to me about the temporary building that was used to house the Air Force Academy for its first couple of years.
Lowry Building 880.
Yeah, let me just say that, and I know that we're looking at redeveloping that area. And as somebody who's retired from the military, there are temporary buildings and permanent buildings. And already, I think in Lowry, they preserved one of the hangars, they preserved the commanding general's house, and they preserved one of the chapels. And so I just was really, this is a temporary building. And I would really urge us not to go forward with that.
This is not for Lowry Building 880. That building's already landmarked and on the National Register at the national level of significance. It's one of the only remaining temporary World War II buildings, but it has nothing to do with this CLG grant that I applied for.
Okay, and just one final question. So we are then prohibited from tearing that down?
I would have to look at the ordinance and see exactly how it's spelled out in there. Like I said, planning has asked for it to become stricter.
Okay.
But I think that's going to take time because that's going to have to go through, it's going to have to involve the building department, the permit department, ODA, it's larger than just, oh yeah, we want to strengthen this because planning says so. There's a lot of different folks that will need to be involved in that process before that would happen.
Yeah, thank you.
But we can talk more about Lowry Building 880 another time. This is just to accept the grant money. This is the application form that I sent you in January that you had signed off on for me to apply for the grant. And we were awarded the grant. So this is just kind of scoping out the city and seeing, what areas do we have historic resources.
Good questions. And thanks for that clarification.
Mhm.
I think I might be just asking a curious question, maybe not related to the grant, but you're such a wealth of knowledge. Do we ever landmark like natural resource? I guess that sounds like I'm answering my own question. Like, do we landmark natural resources? I remember at one point, like the Fitzsimmons golf course, there was like a particular tree, as an example that was like the tree that everyone like remembered.
Hit. Yeah. He would always, when he golfed, it was always in his way.
You can tell I am not a golfer.
No. No, we can do things like that. Like, I know the Preservation Commission has inquired multiple times about designating the Highline Canal. We have Delaney Farm, which is also, not just the farm buildings there, but the open space and the natural component of it. So absolutely, we can designate sites, we can designate objects, as well as buildings. It's not just restricted to a physical structure.
Great. Okay. Any other comments? No. All right. Thank you for the presentation, Chris. And I think you
so
are
much.
asking to advance this to the next study session.
Yes, please.
I approve this moving forward. Councilmember Medina, Councilmember Coombs.
I'm good moving it.
Councilmember Coombs.
Sorry, I was having unmuting issues. Yes, I'm good.
All right. Mayor, seemed like, I know you're not on the committee, but it seemed like you have no objections either. All right.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
Likewise. All right, let's move into the 2024 marketing update. Kim, is that your presentation?
It is.
All right.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Thank you, PR Plus, for allowing us to do this presentation every year. I'd like to introduce the team because each of us will have a little bit something to say. So you all know me, Kim Stewart. Hi, Krista. It's been a while. But we're really pleased to give you an update. Also on the screen with you today is Laura Ray. Laura is the manager of marketing and creative and marketing. So she's over mailroom, print shop, and all the graphic arts, as well as kind of policing or trafficking. That's what we call it in the business. All of our marketing work and graphic jobs. So, and then lastly, I'd like to introduce Sophia Hernandez. Sophia has been with us a very short time, a number of weeks, but we're delighted to have her on board as our senior marketing strategist for the city of Aurora. And so with that, I wanted to also mention that the position has been unfilled, not completely vacant, but for almost a year. And so we're resetting some things. So please recognize you might see some similar notes from last year's update. There are, of course, other marketing staff throughout the city who are dedicated to different departments. So library and cultural services, the pros department, water doesn't do marketing as much as it does public relations. So we do have a team. We just all have very specific roles in the work that we do for the city. Our focus is citywide. It's really about showcasing Aurora and building positive perception. And so that's what we'll talk about today. And we'll go through this, and please stop along the way if you have any questions. So next slide. Thank you. I'm going through my slides separately because I've got notes. So the goal here are some of our goals in telling our own story. Tell our story. We started marketing back in about 2016, 2017. Council was good enough to recognize the difference between public relations and marketing. They certainly are integrated in our work, but they're very different. We can't let the media doesn't tell our story the way we need to tell it, which is in a complete way with our own words. And so marketing allows us to do that and to reach different audiences through different tactics or strategies. We want to increase our community's pride about living in Aurora. We want to improve image perception, with people having a better understanding of our full city, not just headlines. Garner attention of our target audiences, who we'll talk about in just a moment, and bolster awareness of Aurora's assets and offerings to drive economic outcomes. So we understand that a good reputation as such is really an underpinning to economic development as much as it is just general awareness of who we are. Our target audiences, this was built on research we did when we first stood up the program with council support. And so we know that we have such a wealth of arts, culture, and food in our community. People will travel for food. They will travel for arts and culture. They may not come over here to shop at a store that isn't unique to Aurora, but they certainly will come for the things that are. And so that's why they're that's a very important audience for us. We focus on the local and the Denver metropolitan area, the Aurora Denver metropolitan area, because those folks have strong influence over the reputation that exists. And I'll speak in just a moment, but Visit Aurora was stood up as a destination marketing organization a number of years ago to focus on the region and beyond. There's a little overplay on local, but that really is not their primary focus. That's what we try to work on. So we do that in tandem where we can. Developers, investors, and businesses are very important to us as well. We partner with AEDC. We need people to invest in our community here. And so we're mindful of that importance. We'll talk a little bit later about some of the other work across the city to address that. Realtors are really incredibly important. We initially called them kind of our gate openers, gatekeepers, because they really set the tone. They can help people's impression of a community. They help sell our community. And so that's really important to us, working with those, not as individual realtors, but more with the associations that exist in Aurora and outside of Aurora metro area. And then employees of large employers. We have some amazing large employers in medical, bioscience, aerospace, and defense. And those folks might come here and work here, but they may not call it their home. We'd love to see them choose it as their home. They employ people of all levels of backgrounds, education, experience, from folks who are helping on the healthcare support side of things to leading researchers across the country, aerospace and defense. We've got engineers who run the ground to satellite controls out of Northrop Grumman, et cetera, those companies that exist here. That's why they're a specific target audience for us. And of course, our employees. We need our employees to be our ambassadors and champion our city as much as the other folks we've mentioned. And then outdoor and recreational enthusiasts, because we have some unique outdoor and recreational, excuse me, opportunities here in Aurora. Next slide, please. And so our key actions to reach our goals are to increase our social media and digital. That's a very big focus for us, not only in marketing, but our other communication efforts in this department. We want to use strategic use of paid media in Aurora and the metropolitan area. And I will tell you, and Laura will get into this, but we are as efficient as we can be with every single dollar that council's been gracious enough to budget for us. So we use a professional media buyer, so we get to leverage off of her other work with other clients to get us better deals. And Laura will get into a couple of the details there. And then we market to our target audiences, as we mentioned. And we continue to increase our collaborations within the city and the community. We work with those departments. We have a citywide communications and marketing team that meets once a month. We want the messaging to be consistent, to be reinforcing, and importantly, rather than getting 8 business card size ads, we would love to have a full page spread. And we can accomplish that when we're working together as one whole team. And then, of course, to build ambassadors wherever we can. Key performance indicators and measurements, we're increasing our impressions always. We look at our click-through rates, social media interactions, website conversion rates. I'm not going to list all these, but again, with the last year being somewhat quieter than previous years because of the lack of staff in that role, we don't have a lot of really fresh data other than our paid media, but that is something we're reinforcing and have made a lot of adjustments to start collecting that again. Next slide, please. Our campaign strategy, I already mentioned Visit Aurora as a partner and the complementary but different roles that we have. We want to entice more people from the region to experience Aurora's many offerings. When we initially stood up the marketing program, we did some very robust focus group work and some research. And what we learned then was people who came to Aurora, the more often they came to Aurora, the more positive they felt about it. It dispelled some of the notions that might have existed out there. So that's a very important thing. Global Fest, we get people from across the region and beyond at Global Fest. It's a great touch point to be able to help people understand who we are. We know that the diversity we have in our community is a positive and unique offering for Aurora. So that's one of the reasons we focus on that a lot. We highlight the local people, businesses, restaurant, shopping, attractions, and recreational activities, as I spoke about before. And then we want to reach those local audiences and influencers. That's where you get that organic, natural boosting of what we're doing through paid and organic marketing. And I've already talked about coordinating across the city. And you can see there are just a handful of our partners. We work with Havana BID, Stanley Marketplace, Southlands. Wherever there's an opportunity, we try to take advantage of that to leverage not only our resources, but the impact of our marketing work. Next one, please. And I'm going to let Laura take this one, and we'll go back a little back and forth for you, but stop us if you have anything along the way. Laura, it's all yours.
Thank you. So Kim mentioned a little bit about paid media, and so we do utilize a media buyer. She's been in the industry for a very long time, has lots of contacts, and so by using her, we're really able to capitalize on her strategies, her relationships, things like that. So we really do start out at the beginning of the year planning, looking at how individual ads performed and buying and based on performance. And so kind of really trying to hone in on what's making the biggest impact. So we do an omni-channel strategy where we're using a lot of digital, because as everyone knows, we're becoming more and more of a digital world. Out of home, which would be, you know, large billboards, things like that. Our light rail, which is a really good example of the light rail wrap. Social media advertorials is something that we've increased a lot of this year because it allows us to truly tell our story. We get to write the content. We get to speak about all the amazing offerings that Aurora has that maybe aren't always in the headlines. So really trying to reinforce that and doing it really strategically in additions or with vendors that, for example, have a food issue. So let's talk about our Aurora Eats. Let's talk about our food scene, our arts and culture. And then there's some targeted TV. Also, we've been doing a lot of multilingual marketing, not only just throughout the year, but also really increased it for some Global Fest items this year. Next slide, please. So the next two slides are just visuals. So when the marketing program first started, there was 4 months coverage every year. This is meant to show you that we have coverage all year round, and not only in digital, but print. Next slide, please. So this is also our out of home, our radio, and our print. The first slide was all digital specific. And, you know, speaking of our media buyer, just to give you guys a kind of some examples of why that partnership and relationship has been really beneficial to the city from a budget perspective is, for example, we've said this previously, but for light rail wrap, she has figured out this kind of secret sauce, I like to call it, of how you buy ads. If you buy a certain months and then repurchase in another month, they are not going to take down your light rail advertisement and your wrap to then put it back up. So the way we plan that out gets us an entire year essentially for paying for 4 months. I will also note on something that I was realizing the other day as I saw the one from 2022 still up, because they haven't taken it down. So right now we have 2 different tracks that are getting lots of attention for Aurora right now, which is pretty exciting. Other things that I will talk about is that she has done a really good job of talking with vendors. So for example, we did some Denver Life creative this year. We bought print pieces, and because of the number that she was able to negotiate and how many print advertisements we will have, we got an entire year of bonus creative for advertorials and digital ads. And I'll show some examples on the next slides. Next slide, please. So we're going to play, you know, as you guys know, video and animations are all very exciting and they really increase engagement. So we have a few videos in here that I just wanted to share. And yes, could you play that Aurora Eats one first? This is an animation that we've had on social and can use for advertisements too. So it's buffering a little bit, but it's just showing all the different,
Add the sound. Ines, please.
I don't think that one has a sound because it's an animation.
It's music.
The sound is on that one.
That one doesn't have it. So that's one animation that we've done to kind of speak to the breadth of cuisine that Aurora offers. So that's one example. If you'll play that next one, yes. This is a video ad that we have used with multiple vendors. This one's an Aurora Eats focus, but then we also did versions that included Global Fest footage to also help promote Global Fest. That one has sound. This one does usually have sound, so I can always send these after the fact. And then one more fun thing that we partnered with Lamar, who's the vendor for the light rail, is they actually, and we're putting this on our social in the next week or two, they did a time lapse of the install, because we thought that would just be a really fun piece to kind of share. So if you would play that one, Ines, that'd be awesome. Thank you. This just was like very interesting to watch the full process. Obviously we sped it up really fast. And you can see the completed light rail in the bottom picture. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is a mixture of different target audiences that we are reaching with these different examples of ads, print ads. The Denver Life is the one to the left, and this is an example of this print ad, which it's Aurora Eats focused, but we did work with the Stanley to kind of highlight that, since that is such an important influencer for us. And so it does kind of speak to Aurora Eats and then specifically to the Stanley a little bit. And then because of those print ads, we got a full year bonus of sponsored content, which is, we wrote this article to the left and all of the digital ads that you guys see there. And above, there are just some examples of how we've been targeting realtors in different guides, relocation, and doing advertorials to tell our story. All right, and next slide, please. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Sophia. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. This slide is mostly about our social media strategy. So we post on a variety of different platforms, and we use a mix of both paid advertising and organic marketing, and we do that for a reason. So each of our pages has a different audience in terms of size and demographics. So we're really trying to reach as broad of an audience as possible. And then functionally, each platform works in a different way. So just because you don't follow a page doesn't mean that page's content doesn't show up on your feed. So we're trying to kind of like hack the algorithm with posting on all of these different platforms. And the reason we do this is to build some brand awareness. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that traditional marketing funnel that we're trying to follow. And with brand awareness, we're trying to build trust. We're trying to build a sense of recognition for our audience. And when we do this, we're really trying to hone in on message reinforcement. So the more time someone sees our message, the more likely they are to interact with those posts. And so the next thing on this is interest and engagement. So anytime someone likes, comments, shares, or saves one of our posts, that's telling us that they find value in the post. And hopefully what we're looking for is consideration. So on all of our marketing posts, there's normally going to be a call to action or a link that's associated with that post, normally guiding people to the Go Aurora site or the Aurora Eats page. And what we want people to do is spend time on our website and look through the information that's available on there. And then hopefully that results in action. So take, for example, Aurora Eats. If there's a boosted post on Facebook about Aurora Eats, someone likes it, it appears then on one of their friends' pages, their friend clicks on the link, that takes them to our website, and then they look through all of the great restaurants that we have in Aurora, and they choose to go out to eat at one of the restaurants included in the guide, then that's a completion of the marketing funnel. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish on social media. And then the way we measure whether or not this is doing well is through our social media metrics, as well as website metrics. And then we adjust our strategy from there. So if something isn't working, we don't try it again and we try something new. We can go to the next slide. This next piece is our in-person or our event engagement events that we have a presence at. The first one is the Anschutz Block Party. We had about 4 departments represented at the block party last year. Communications and marketing was there. We kind of facilitated all of the other departments' booths that were there as well. So we had pros, housing, and community services, and then PD and fire recruitment. Around 3,500 people stopped by our booth, and a good portion of those that stopped by grabbed an Aurora Eats guide, which is really amazing because that's what we want to do. And another thing I wanted to note on this slide was that Anschutz is not only a partner, but again, they're one of our target audiences. So we just want to make sure that we're present at their events because they also have a place in telling Aurora's story. So this is a
I do want to
priority.
jump in real quick, sorry, just because I was there at Anschutz on this previous year, and I do want to note that those Aurora Eats guides, people were more interested in those than they were in like other booths that had, you know, the free sunglasses or the hand sanitizer. So it was really great to see that when putting a lot of thought into what you're giving out, and something that has rich content is just as exciting as, you know, the freebies. And so it was really nice to kind of see that people were seeing other people walking around with them and then coming to our booth and asking for them.
Thank you for jumping in. I was not there, but yes, we actually had a booth at the Juneteenth celebration at the AMC, and most of what people grabbed were the Aurora Eats guides. So yes, good point. The next thing that I have on this slide is Global Fest. Last year we had around 10,000 attendees. Close to half of those attendees were non-Aurora residents, which is a really great sign because one of our target audiences is metro area residents, not just those that live in Aurora. There are a bunch of Yeah.
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
I was just wondering, is there like an ideal like mix between like out of like non-Aurora residents, you know, compared to Aurora residents for big events like this? I don't know if it's like that neat, but is that how you think about it?
I don't think we ever have set a goal, but we always want to increase our non-Aurora resident participation along with Aurora resident participation because each serve a different purpose. We just know that the experience of physically being here, having that interaction with our diverse community is really a big positive. So we like to see a heavy non-Aurora resident attendance. So, but we haven't set a number to it.
Thanks, Kim. This year, Global Fest, we developed a refreshed logo, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. That's included in all of our promotional materials that have gone out so far, and then those that are forthcoming. So any ads that you see regarding Global Fest, that logo is going to be included on there. And then also new to this year is Global Flavors, which is a pilot campaign that has some overlap with both Aurora Eats and Global Fest. And it's basically a competition amongst local restaurants in Aurora. They have a chance to submit a dish, and then the community will have a chance to vote on those submissions. And then the restaurants with the top votes will be recognized at Global Fest. And we can go to the next slide. Laura, I'll hand this off to you.
That's me. So those of you who were here for our presentation last year saw the very beginning pieces of this. This has been a multi-year activation plan at the Stanley Marketplace, which is finally completed. Each item will be up for different amount of years, but I think it's like 5 to 6 years in total. So we have the Stanley History wall installation, which is amazing. I've been getting a lot of great feedback from the team at Stanley of how people are taking selfies in front of it and really interacting and just loving all of the rich history and content that that wall is included. Then we also have the World in a City mural, which was the first piece that was completed. We also have added since originally when it went up, we did go ahead and finally get a Braille sign installed in that little circle right there. And we thought that was a really nice way for other people who maybe aren't able to, you know, visually see it in the same way to be a part of and experience what that mural is meant to do, which is speaking about the purpose behind the World in a City and the different women from different backgrounds. The artist, the muralist, wrote a piece and then we put it into Braille. So we're really excited about that. And then the other thing that the Stanley, that we partner with the Stanley on are 3 staircases. We're only showing one here. There's a teal one, an orange one, and a purple one. And they are using them as a wayfinding experience so that people can say, okay, you entered at the teal set of stairs, which means these are all the shops and restaurants close to you. We also have welcome to Aurora at the top of the stairs, which is kind of hard to see in this picture, but the purpose of that is really showing and making sure that people are clear that the Stanley is in Aurora. It is not Denver, because there is sometimes people are not totally sure of that, but really making sure people are aware that welcome to Aurora. This is a gem for us. This is a flagship for us and a huge influencer. Additionally, there's up to, I think it's 28 languages that are spoken in Aurora that say welcome on every other stair. So it's a really fun, interactive art piece in addition to having the functionality of wayfinding. All right, next slide. All right, I think that's you, Kim.
It is. So I won't go into this too much longer, but marketing with realtors, as we mentioned before, really important. They definitely influence folks. And we know that people who choose Aurora to be their home, we have housing options at every level. I know that's part of the city's housing strategy. And so we just want to make sure people understand there's a choice here for folks. So we work with them. We have created a digital Sell Aurora toolkit for realtors and resources. We even work with them. Sometimes they'll say, would you come do a short video so they can post it on their own clients and their own networks. So we really work with them however suits them best to tell the Aurora story and get people interested in our community. So next one, please. And this one, some of the council members go to the International Shopping Centers Conference every year, ICSC. And so we worked with Planning and Business Services, now called, to help message that again in a consistent fashion. So this really parallels Aurora's messaging about who we are, how it is to do business with the city of Aurora. And we think that's a really important aspect of economic development. Next slide, please. Brand variations, and my apologies, I didn't even say it till we got into the slideshow. The world in a city is our tagline because it really suits who we are. It's very descriptive, and we can apply that. We've recently added it to our work to help HR recruit. So a world of job possibilities or career opportunities. So we do employ that in every way we can to reinforce constantly. So you can see here some of the varieties of brand variations that we use. But we're very intentional about all this. We don't just have people in departments making up whatever they want. It has to really fit our messaging and our brand. Next slide, please. Also, as I hinted at earlier, we really do integrate our marketing, public relations, and media relations. So when we're responding on public relations things, we try to have consistent messaging. We have consistent use of imagery throughout the city, and our team, 5 divisions in the department, but we work on a very regular basis to integrate all those things so that we're very consistent to reinforce our brand. And then social media posts are consistent. Some are peer marketing. A lot of times they're public information and PR. This is Aurora, also digitally, and News Aurora. All of our aspects of the work we do in communications is integrated, including employee relations. Thanks. Go ahead. Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
And then
take this. Oh,
yeah, there you go. Thank
go
you,
ahead,
Sophia.
Okay. Yes, the Aurora Eats Guide. We have some really exciting news. The last iteration to come out of the guide was last summer. We're in the midst of updating it with around 300 more restaurants to be added. So there's going to be close to 600 different small business restaurants and specialty markets with a focus on cultural and ethnic foods that are going to be included in this guide. So we're hoping to have that done by the end of summer, early fall. And with that, we're also going to be making updates to our map. This map is available right now on our website, and it's also available on mobile devices. It is a little clunky right now. So we're just going to be making some visual updates as well as adding all of the new restaurants to the map. And then additionally with that, there's going to be a bit of a refresh on the Aurora Eats webpage too. So really exciting things coming with that. And if anyone has any additions, like restaurants that you don't see in the current guide, please feel free to let any of us know. We're happy to get those added just because we want this to be as comprehensive as possible. So please reach out. And then lastly, in 2023, we had a total of 76 million impressions for all of our advertisements, which is amazing. I do want to note that an impression isn't necessarily one person. So for example, if I saw one of our ads appear on my screen 4 times, then that counts as an impression, which is actually a really good thing for message reinforcement purposes. We want people to see our message multiple times to get acquainted with our brand. Most of those came from outdoor advertising, our targeted digital ads, the light rail. We have two running right now, as Laura mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's kind of, yeah. If anyone has any questions, we're happy to hear those.
Councilmember Coombs?
No questions for me, but thank you all for the update. It's, as always, very impressive.
And we'd love to hear from you if you think we need to make adjustments along the way, or if we're hitting the mark from your perspective. We're trying to just use the resources we have to the maximum benefit. Thank you.
Councilmember Medina?
No, good job. I'll probably reach out to you, Kim, in the later months and a couple ideas I have for some things to help. So, but yeah, good job. Thanks.
No questions. I did want to just note on like the what is it? The Aurora Eats, where you're like naming like specialty markets as like another organization to maybe like check with. I think Food Justice Northwest Aurora just did like a mapping of like smaller markets. So I'm sure you guys have done a really thorough job, but just like, you know, since like they're kind of actively like mapping and like concerned with food systems, like that might just be another organization to like check in with every year to help do some of the like lifting, and they would probably be happy to share as they learn more too, you know, just like very minimal
yeah.
work to open that
Thank you.
open that up.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that just as the mechanics of this, you know, we work with our licensing office to make sure they're licensed first, and then it's quite complicated. We have to work with all the public health agencies just to make sure they're in good standing. So it gets complicated. But one last thing I wanted to just show, and these will be coming to your council mailboxes, but we've done a coaster that says Global Fest and Aurora Eats on both sides. Each side is, and we're going to distribute those out into the community. So wherever you can help us. But again, if we're missing anything, one of your favorite haunts or a market or something, please let us know and we'll do the background, the diligence on it, because we want as much as we can that reflects our community in that guide. So thank you very much.
That's actually really great to hear in terms of like, you know, the like official licensing and like the health department. Like I hadn't even considered that would be part of like the vetting. Could be something for, I don't know if that organization or other organizations that support with like economic development, like, hey, this is like a resource for you if, you know, you have the things and you're properly licensed, like that would open up a whole like door in terms of like marketing and advertising at no cost to them. Yeah, that's great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Who knows if we ever get these greenhouses up and running, maybe that could be something that we highlight as like a local food system. Not to, I know we're like pulling up the DABA presentation, but just like a quick note, like especially with like the conversations and concerns around the Colfax corridor along the like not specialty markets, but the closure of other like box stores, and like how do we, you know, we're hearing from staff on like how do we uplift like the infrastructure and the like the businesses we already have, like how do we fortify what we have there as a means of like addressing kind of these like larger issues. So just like a side note, like this is really great to like know and be able to share with like our as a resource for organizations. Other than that, I don't have any other comments or questions. And Kim, remind me, is this was just information only?
Correct. Thank you.
All righty. Well, thank you and your team for the presentation. All right, let's jump into our next presentation, which is the DAVA annual update. Will Krista be presenting?
Hi, here I am.
Alrighty, hello.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for inviting me to present. And it's really nice to just connect once a year and share some really great updates of what we have going on at DAVA. So this first slide just really first highlights our new mission statement. We worked with a consultant to really refresh our mission, vision, and values in 2022. And DAVA engages diverse youth in meaningful arts education that sparks creativity, increases opportunity, and strengthens community. And we really went into 2023, which is our 30th anniversary year, really just making sure that all of our programming was delivering this mission. And many of you were able to come to our celebration last May in 2023, where we actually had students returning from as far as Ohio and Kansas City to share their work and share how DAVA has impacted their professional career, their creative journeys, and how they are also still giving back to our community. So it's just a really wonderful celebration and legacy of the impact we've had. Tens of thousands of students and families in this community over 30 years, and how the arts can really infuse our community with not only economic opportunity, but creativity, education, and strong positive youth development. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just take a chance to walk through our programs. Most of you are familiar with the FRI programs that we offer for kids ages 3 all the way through 18. But I just wanted to touch on some of the things that are happening in each of the programs, some exciting developments over the last year. In our family arts program, which is our preschool program, and it's intergenerational, this class is packed every single day. It is just such a wonderful opportunity for not only kids to be exposed to the creative process really early on, but also for our parents, and especially our newly arrived parents, to build community and find resources. It just functions so well in that way. And we're actually partnering with the Village Institute, which is another amazing nonprofit right across the alley from us, behind us. And we're working with their daycare to provide arts programming as well. So again, working with our local nonprofit partners in the district and really seeing how we can leverage our resources and reach more youth and families. Next slide, please. Our Open Studio program is going strong. This just continues to be such a vibrant, creative place during the summer. We are hitting 40, 50 kids sometimes during the day. It's such a wonderful resource for families that may not have access to camps and summer education opportunities for students. So it's just a bustling, fun place where kids can be safe and really do their best to create whatever they can dream of. You'll see in the picture here, there's some students who worked on the airplanes for the Stanley Market. We were part of one of the installations there. If you happen to see them, DAVA kids contributed, and that was really wonderful. And we just wrapped up a huge new awesome mural for the Martin Luther King Jr. Library. So also stopping by to see that. And again, just continuing to not only engage kids in arts at our center, but engage them in community arts projects that move out into their spaces, the spaces they see with their families, the libraries and markets. It's just a great way to engage them in community, even at a young age. Next slide, please. And then our Hallmark Job Training and Arts and Technology program is going strong. Right now, our kids are actually at film camp, which I believe if you go to the next slide, yes, we are in our 17th year of partnering with the Community College of Aurora, what used to be the Colorado Film School, which is now the Department of Cinematic Arts. This is such an incredible partnership, and just CCA is so wonderful in allowing our students to come into their facility and do every part of the filmmaking process, from script writing to acting, directing, filming, and editing and producing their own films. And for the 30 students that are a part of this program every year, 100% of those students are immigrant and refugee youth. So this is often their first opportunity to tell their story. And it's just such a powerful tool to really engage youth voice and engage our community in hearing more about our citizens, our residents, our students, and the issues and experiences that they're having. This year, we are really excited to have received a prestigious grant to take this film program to the next level. And we're inviting another new Aurora nonprofit, Aspen We Filmmaking Hub Incubator. They have an international platform. They have 10 satellite filmmaking studios and offices all around the world, in Africa, Belize, Paris. So we're looking at how do we, in bringing their educators and filmmakers here, not only allow our kids to have access to this international platform and all these amazing filmmakers, but how are we going to start to show our Aurora stories out in those countries and really share and often connect kids with their home countries in many cases. So this is a new chapter for our film program, and our belief that the arts and community arts especially really is a global connection for making sure that, and also making sure that Aurora's on the map, making sure that they understand what an amazing community we have here. So we're very excited about that. Next slide, please. And then our last program that we added most recently in 2019, this is our Creative Action by Teams program. That has also seen a lot of growth in 2023. We doubled the number of students that we're working with, and these are our high school students and local schools, and they're working with partner organizations, other nonprofits, businesses, local businesses, schools like Charles Burrell Visual and Performing Arts Campus. So these organizations and businesses are almost like clients for our students, right? They're coming in and they're requesting or commissioning some sort of a creative project with our students. So they're able to really start flexing their workforce development, their understanding what type of deadlines and deliverables and how to make a project really happen. And so it's just giving them so much more real world experience. So this program has just been incredibly successful. We also are working right now on a big commission for Adams County. So that's another great opportunity to have our students be able to engage in, it increases the civic engagement and allows them to be able to showcase their work, at a different, for the government, for different businesses. It's just a really fantastic program that we've seen a lot of growth in. Next slide, please. And then in our gallery, which most of you have known and visited, we offer 3 to 4 youth shows a year. We're so excited to always have the mayor supporting and coming to our exhibition openings, and many of you as well. And this year, we really challenged ourselves to open up, not just showcase our student work, which is an incredible demonstration of them achieving intellectually, artistically for our community and for their families, but really create our gallery as an accessible arts and culture space where families can come to see new and innovative professional artists, what they're doing, what they're talking about, what they're making art about. So we're trying to expand beyond just youth programming, really bringing in new audiences. I think that is complementing what's happening in the Arts District overall, what's happening with Visit Aurora and other organizations that are bringing more than just, we know we served our residents and now we want to showcase what's going on in our community with others and bring them into the excitement. We did a really incredible show with Denver Month of Printmaking with the curators of Daria Art Magazine. We brought in the State Art Education Association for one of their professional development opportunities. And then just a couple weeks from now on July 20th, we're going to be hosting the statewide, the Colorado Metalsmithing Association, and showcasing their work here in our gallery. So we've just had some fantastic opportunities to, again, expand our audience and share more of what makes Aurora special with visitors from all over the state, quite honestly. Next slide, please. So our current successes and challenges, all of our programs that I just kind of walked through, and I welcome any questions about more specific interest in those programs or some of the projects that we're doing. All of these programs are full and growing. We have seen in 2023 over 700 unduplicated students, so unique individuals, and those students are visiting DAVA tens of thousands of times. Engaging in programming year-round. We, especially in the summer, see more kids than ever. It's just the busiest time of year. We're such a fantastic resource for students and families to keep engaged and keep learning over the summer. And then we also have had over 2,000 gallery visitors. So full return from those pandemic days. We're just bursting at the seams with kids and creativity. We've also, as I highlighted, some of our new partnerships and new efforts to bring different audiences to the district. We're also working with really fantastic organizations, so other nonprofits, arts and science organizations, other FCFD partners, including Ocean's First Institute, Soul Stories, Cone Marketing Agency, and the Oscar Wee Filmmaking Hub Incubator. So part of our mission is to be such a strong community partner and to just keep expanding not only our students' opportunities for education, for economics, for future jobs, for careers, just really continuing to strengthen community in all those ways. As far as our challenges and how we can support future success of DAVA, right now we're working on a Safe Spaces campaign, and that's really helping us create a safe and secure facility so students have the best opportunity to learn, explore, and create. DAVA has participated, and I know many of you have been, all of you have been involved in a lot of the conversations that have taken place about what it means to try to keep a safe space activated for students in this community, especially working with youth. And we've had a lot of challenges, very honestly, and I know a lot of us have honestly spoken about the use of our property for people experiencing homelessness, camping out, using it as a restroom, and generally not obeying our trespassing orders. And so we're right now working with the City Planning and Development Department to install a fence around the perimeter of DAVA's property. And that's something that I feel like is a great source of support for, again, the Planning and Development Department. We're in final approval stages for that fence. And that's really going to eliminate the encampments and the trespassing on our property, which will then eliminate the exposure and potential hazards for our staff and students when they're encountering messes and things that would be obviously a hazard. So that's one way I feel like we can definitely be supported at DAVA in terms of prioritizing student and staff safety. And then the last one is supporting my leadership transition. As many of you know, I will be stepping down from my role as executive director at the end of this summer, and we are currently in the search for a new executive director. And my hope is that we're going to find a fantastic representative for our community and be able to continue the legacy that we've built for 30 years here with fresh energy and a new vision. And I'm so incredibly honored to have spent 20 years of my professional career serving this community and serving the youth and families in Aurora. I'm immensely proud. And so, and I'm also really happy to have this chance to connect with all of you, just kind of as one last really, just a chance to share how strong we are and the position that we're in, answer questions, and then hopefully say, welcome and support the next leader and our incredible staff and all of our families that are here. So I sure appreciate the opportunity to connect with all of you and welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Krista. Love hearing about how great Dava is doing, and certainly wishing you success and all the good fortune in your next endeavor. And I'm sure the next leader for Dava will be hopefully just as strong with certainly big shoes to fill. So thank you. Councilmember, I believe Councilmember Coombs was having some connectivity issues, so she might not be on. Councilmember Medina, do you have any questions or comments?
No, like I said, I've been a proponent of Dava for a long, long time, and certainly seen the transitions with Susan and now Krista, and then now someone else new. So, no, I wish you all good luck. You all done great things for the community, and I know it's gone a long ways to serving a lot of youth that otherwise may not have been able to engage in areas that others could do. And so I certainly appreciate and applaud all your staff and yourself for doing it. And again, wish you luck in your next endeavors, and we'll look forward to meeting the new person to come in and help support them as well in this and making it more robust. So thank you.
Mayor, I see your hand is raised.
Well, Chris, I'm very disappointed you're leaving, but I understand. But the world as we know it will end, and so I just want you to feel that moral burden on your shoulders when you before you leave. No, you've done an incredible job, and so I think your shoes are going to be very difficult to fill. I just really appreciated the passion you had for the children, and I'm glad that I was able to make the opening receptions for your different events, and always very impressed by your work. So thank you for all you've done for our city.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Was that it, Mayor? Sorry, I'm cutting out on my end. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, same here. No questions. Just always really excited to see what's going on and how Dava, continues to evolve and be more and more plugged into community efforts. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's transition to our next item, which is the 2024 Aurora Cultural Arts Affairs Commission Annual Report.
Right. Well, thank you, PR, for your time today. I am Tony Ellis de Jesus, and I'm the chairperson for the Aurora Cultural Affairs Commission. And I'm here today to give you a quick overview of the work of the commission and our recent grant cycle. First and foremost, the Cultural Affairs Commission, our mission is to foster a vibrant, inclusive cultural community in Aurora through support for local arts, heritage, and cultural expression. Our vision is to make Aurora a city where arts and culture are accessible and celebrated by all. Of course, Aurora is not only the most diverse city in Colorado, but it also makes some national ratings as well. Diversity is something that we're proud of, and it benefits us in our goals to support community and draw tourism. Next slide, please. The Cultural Commission, our work includes promoting community engagement and support the arts via the current Library and Cultural Services Cultural Plan, enhancing the cultural environment of ACAD, primarily through the Northwest Aurora grants, or the Northwest Aurora Arts grants, excuse me, which we'll go into further in just a minute, provides workshops that assist organizations in applying for the grant, which skills they may use when applying for other grant funding. Lots of organizations that come through our door and apply for grants are both established and experienced organizations, but also new and budding organizations. So we do offer support for those new and budding organizations and giving them instructions on how to apply for a grant, which they can, of course, use that experience when they apply for other funding other than our funding. Provides information about various resources that help organizations achieve their program success and support the clearance process for arts in public places and their public art installations, including murals and sculptures. Like I said before, what I'll be presenting to you today is more information about our recent annual grant process. Next slide, please. The number of grants that were awarded the Northwest Aurora Arts Grants. We were excited to award 12 organizations. The total funding distributed was $150K. And they included a diverse array of groups across the Aurora, and not only in Aurora, and organizations who are established in ACAP outside of Aurora as well, demonstrating a wide range of creative disciplines and reach among our underprivileged communities. They include theater companies, organizations like Vintage Theater and Shifted Lens, which specialize in theatrical plays, ranging from community theater to education programs for young adults, dance studios and ensembles, organizations such as Fifth Element Center for Dance offer dance instructions as well as performing opportunities for younger folks, with a focus on dance forms that originate from our diverse cultures. Next slide, please. Continuing our array of different organizations that we are excited to award grants to, cultural festivals like Kovacs Canvas and the Ascenda Festival, which was sponsored or held by K2FM, and that festival focuses on East African community cultures. Community centers such as the Ever Fabulous Dava, also included in our grants. We were excited to award grants to this year. These organizations represent a cross-section of Aurora's diverse cultural ecology, with each making a distinct contribution to the city's arts and culture scene via focused missions, community participation, and inclusive programming. The $150K that we receive for grant distribution is supplied by the Aurora Urban Renewal Authority and is meant to assist ACAD located organizations with their operational costs, as well as bring in programming from outside organizations who can bring impactful events and programming to ACAD. Next slide, please. As far as our challenges and solutions that we see to those challenges, the Cultural Affairs Commission has identified a critical need to provide further financial assistance for local artists and organizations. Of course, the rising costs for operating organizations and inflation are putting creative pursuits under incredible strain, necessitating greater grant money to maintain Aurora's cultural vibrancy. Things that cost $5 last Monday now cost $5,000 pretty much. It's just the rising cost of doing business and being able to kind of consider that when we're looking to get more grant funds so we can kind of match that rising cost with organizational and artist needs to put on programming and events. Addressing performance-based shortages, operational challenges, notably the scarcity of programming space in ACAD has driven established local groups to go beyond the city's limits. We've noticed a lot of a trend occurring where organizations, some of them have been in Aurora for years, tell us that they were forced to find other places to perform outside of ACAD, outside of Aurora, because of the scarcity of those spaces. And in order to support the most diverse community in Colorado, it is imperative that we provide spaces for our diverse communities to hold events that represent their communities. Next slide, please. Citing future initiatives, include both short range and long range. Some of our short range goals includes the revamping of our panelist handbook. The commission intends to issue a comprehensive update to our NAG panelist guidelines, the first since pre-pandemic. The improvement is critical as it ensures that our procedures are more efficient and in line with current and future needs. As we invite back members of our rural community to serve as panelists, it's also important to update the handbook, and it's also in preparation to possibly expanding our grant offerings and using this handbook as a template. Our grant process improvements, we are committed to improving the grant criteria, applications, and guidelines in order to streamline the application process and will enable us to better support more diverse and significant projects. As you've seen from the types of organizations who were granted during our last grant cycle, they typically include the same types of groups. We do believe that some organizations might not have applied because they see themselves of not fitting that criteria, but they do. For example, food and culinary is also art and culture. So we hope to fine tune the criteria in order to increase the diversity of the organizations applying for these grants. Rebranding for relevance. The commission is considering renaming the grant to more accurately represent the communities and cultural essence of the arts district. This effort seeks to increase the link between the grant and the impact region, make it more visible and relevant to local artists and cultural groups. The new name is expected to connect more profoundly with potential applicants and stakeholders, increasing the grant's program exposure and attractiveness. Now, for our long-term goals, we're looking to broaden the grant offers, broaden our grant offers within and outside of ACAD. So for the longest time, the grant that we currently offer is ACAD specific. We also know that Aurora, of course, is a large region and also the possibility of supporting arts and culture everywhere in Aurora. And also advocating for new performance venues. This drive is in part of a large effort to improve the local art scene and provide creatives with venues and tools that they require to succeed. Also, our ongoing commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Commission is committed to expanding the range of creative and cultural applicants, as I mentioned before. This effort aims to create a more inclusive and cultural landscape that reflects Aurora's vast variety. Next slide, please. So as far as our community impact, the Commission has profoundly enriched the Aurora's cultural life by supporting a diverse range of programming and fostering local artistic talent and inclusive, accessible cultural events through grants. The grants have been widely popular and especially during the pandemic, they actually definitely served a need to assist Aurora-focused organizations with their funding when funding kind of dropped off. By advocating for cultural infrastructure development within ACAD, for example, performance spaces and galleries, the Commission has boosted local businesses through arts-driven economic activity, stimulated economic growth through tourism, and of course, social impact. Our group represents various cultural identities throughout Aurora and fosters an inclusive atmosphere. And closing remarks, our final slide here. As far as community support, we ask for city leadership and Aurora community. Now that ACAD is a certified Colorado Creative District, it is important for municipal leadership to advocate for commission's objectives in meetings and forums, helping to advocate policies and legislation that improve funding and resources. Financial and resource allocation, both municipal leaders and community residents can help the Commission achieve its goals by advocating for higher budget allocations to expand grant offers and performance spaces around the city. volunteerism. Aurora residents and business owners can volunteer as panelists for our current grants program. And promotion and outreach, of course, municipal officials may utilize their platforms to support commission objectives, which will increase public attendance and engagement in Aurora's arts and culture scene, resulting in economic growth and tourism. Community members can also contribute by spreading information via their social media, community boards, and word of mouth. That includes my information presentation. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you for the presentation. Councilmember Medina, do you have any questions or comments?
Just one. Yeah, Tone, let's see if you and I can connect maybe in the next couple of weeks, and I want to talk a little bit more, and there may be some connections I have that may be able to assist you in a couple of things there. So yeah, thank you for the information, and we'll see what we can do to help get you some more resources.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just on my end, I am excited to hear, like the responsiveness on the grant piece and trying to like ebb and flow to make it more clear and just relevant for folks to apply. Putting my Ward 1 hat on, if all of that could go to Ward 1, I wouldn't be upset. But I also understand the citywide vantage point, so I hear you on wanting to make that available to other folks. I am curious, like, if there's any like additional intentionality there, because going from like a much smaller geography than 60,000 to almost 400,000 people, I'm curious if there's other ways that you will like target or just want to see the impact, right? Is it like a little bit in all areas is fine? Do we want to see it concentrated in like deeper impact in one? I'm just curious if you guys have like thought through that, but totally support and understand that shift.
Yes, we're still, we actually just met a couple of weekends ago during a 4-hour retreat. We have established one of our guests was actually Andrea from Aurora Renewal.
Mm-hmm.
In connecting with her and see what her vision is as far as not only the future of this grant, but other spaces as well as that she's looking into. So we're looking to have more connection and active participation between us and her. So we will look to her as guidance as we, go forward. Because you're right. I mean, Aurora's a large area, so we definitely welcome her input as far as the best approach for this.
Gotcha.
What would be beneficial or areas in Aurora to focus on next, beyond ACAD.
Gotcha.
It's something that we're still working. Yeah.
I totally get that, right? Like it was going to take some intentionality, especially when you open it up, or maybe you phase it in. I like that you have a pretty ongoing open relationship with staff to help kind of be thought partners and like help infuse kind of maybe some core areas that they're trying to move in their work that might be better served to like overlay with something like this and just like add a little bit more to efforts that are already going on, and just to hear like from the commissioners too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also maintain contact with the organizations who we give grants to find out what their needs are. Because as I stated before, a lot of these organizations are new and budding. Something we have encountered through the grant process over the past couple of years is DEI and how these organizations handle those things. Because a lot of times there's DEI, but it's not much instruction or guidance on how to implement those policies within their organizations. So one of the ideas that we had is something that we are kind of, I guess, stealing a little from SCFD, something they had implemented recently was better support in DEI and helping organizations kind of build those policies by giving them a grant for that.
Gotcha.
Especially if you have organizations that are or don't have much financial support and not able to have that type of manpower to implement those policies. That's something that we are thinking about pursuing, is how we can do that, but like an Aurora version of that, to these for these new and budding organizations that need guidance in those areas.
Wow, yeah, I think that's big, right? Being able to like operationalize and like those are the things that kind of get overlooked, especially for like a small startup organization. So I really like that direction, and I hope you guys keep running with it. And it's not stealing if it's like, you know, the ideas that we all share as a community, right? If it ain't broke, you know, don't fix it kind of.
Right. Right. It's borrowing ideas,
Yeah,
or you know,
it's the
yeah.
it's a great compliment. They got some good stuff, and like let's make it our own. I think that's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns for our presenter? All righty. I think that's all. Thank you so much for your time and your presentation.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right. We are any miscellaneous items for consideration?
No items today.
Great. And I just want to confirm the next meeting, the 28th, at 3:30. Does that still work for you, Councilmember Medina?
Yes, yes.
All righty. Well, then I guess we'll see you all then. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. Night.
Bye.